assalamu alaikum, good morning, khush aamdeed, ji ayanu, goeiemorgen.
Bakhair agale, ni hao, chudashume, washmale, ohai, guzaimus, guten morgen, hola, boyor, privyet, kaifa hal, halishuma chatore, ahlan wasalan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, swabia, balli kare ayan. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning into PTV World. You watching World this morning, thanks to the very fantastic, the very amazing Shiza Hashmi and myself, Shahzad Khan. Hello, Shiza, how are you doing today? On 24th of August, Monday, 2020.
Well, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for asking. And since it is a Monday, of course, the energies are a little compromised. Yeah. But I feel like since your energy is sort of so contagious, within a minute or so, I'll be back on track. What about you?
Well, that's great. I think I'm feeling wonderful as well. But it's just that, when you get surprises. So last night I got a surprise that, we might have to work extra hours as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, Lamia, I did ask for work, but this is uncalled for. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
But other than that, there are a few things which I want to discuss today.
Okay.
And these are some experiences which I've had over the weekend as well. And I was in conversation with different kind of people. So this is one thing I've observed lately which is very prevalent within our society and amongst a lot of people, and that is overthinking or schizophrenia for that matter as well. Imagine, ladies and gentlemen, that I've been in conversation with people who, when you look at them or when you talk to them, are absolutely normal, but then, they are not aware that their mental health is actually deteriorating. And I think that that's a question mark. And when you see somebody who's a loved one or who's probably, one of those people whom you really, can't ignore that he or she is doing something, I think that you're very careful, and then, you probably need to be in conversation with them. But then half of the time they do not understand because they are in denial.
Right.
And that's quite a lot of problem, ladies and gentlemen, for whatever's happening, for whatever's coming across in your head. I think first things first, what you need to do is that you need to recognize every thought. Please make sure that you do not do such mistakes, which we have probably seen while we were living in joint family systems as well, that, the small problems, they are always brushed under the carpet and they're not discussed. But then, for all of those problems which are not being discussed and recognized are going to be a problem for you in near future.
Yeah.
So please make sure that you talk to somebody, either go to a psychologist or psychiatrist. And if you feel that there's something wrong, just talk to a friend. Please do this.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for talking about something so important, Shahzad. We do tend to neglect this. And yes, you're absolutely right. This is so common among, I want to say our friends group or our family group in circles, that sometimes we don't even know what the other person is going through. So yes,
Exactly.
A brilliant message to start with. One other thing though, just over the weekend I was realizing, because when we talk about the pandemic, it's not going anywhere any soon. I mean, we really hoped and wished that it would, but it's not. So I was just wondering, we've been through so many different phases as a group of humans, as humanity all together throughout this pandemic. Remember when it started, while there were some, I want to say, cognizant people who were, disseminating the right kind of information to all people around the globe as well. But there were also some people who were, hoarding, or I want to say over-hoarding stuff.
Or they were like that, oh, there's nothing like this.
Yeah, of course, there was the
fake.
kind who was sort of denying it as well, but then there were people who were so selfish that, without thinking of the other people in need, twice, they were literally just hoarding up on tissue paper, on, spaghettis, everything for the kitchen, for an example, right?
Yeah.
And then, few months down the lane as well, things were sort of coming back to normal in some places. Then again, there were some good people who were out there to help. But again, there were some people who were sort of providing harm to other people. Point being, in any situation, in any part of your life, there are going to be good and bad people. It depends on you how you're going to take that further as well. And it depends on your capable judgment to know who is the right person to talk with or who is the right person to share your life with. So, just be very careful of that.
Exactly.
Just something I was thinking about. I thought I should share with
I
everyone.
think that's a very valid point, and I'm going to agree to it, because I've seen people that you share your stuff with them, and then you're sharing your stuff with them is because of the fact that they're your friends.
Right.
But have you ever thought that they have more friends as well? So they're going to probably share your story with them.
Right.
And not everybody's going to be very true and honest and loyal, ladies and gentlemen. So please make sure that whoever you choose to talk to needs to be one of those people whom you can rely on and trust on as well.
Absolutely.
Not just that, recently we all know that that there's the second wave of COVID-19, ladies and gentlemen, and pretty much I see it somewhere around the corner, and it's because of the fact that all
Pakistan.
the hotels, all the hotels and resorts probably in Naran and Kagan everywhere has been sealed, and it's because of the fact that their staff, majority of the staff of all of these hotels actually tested positive for COVID-19.
Oh, no.
Now, what do we need to do? We really need to make sure, because everybody's aware of all the SOPs, that we follow all the SOPs. Alhamdulillah, we all know that if you really do not overthink about it, majority of the people, 99.9% of the times, people actually recover. So please, ladies and gentlemen, if the SOPs are going to be in place, everybody around you will be safe as well.
Most definitely.
And whenever you're leaving your house, whenever you're getting back, please make sure that you take a good shower, and I think that that will do as well. Do not shake hands. Once again, we have seen people now are getting a little comfortable, and all of a sudden they're like, hey
Hugging.
man, come on, let's do this. Stop. Just do this. And for all of those people who are out there, I want you to understand, if somebody's done this means that he or she does not want to shake their hands. So please don't do this, because
Absolutely.
I come across this situation where I have to shake hands, and then I'm like, okay,
Right.
Or one of the times, I was like, you know what, sir, I think it's better that we do not shake hands. Oh, nahi, sir, ki ho gaya, sir? They all, sir. So please don't do this.
So yeah, absolutely. And you never know, I mean, who's probably taking things more seriously than you are. So respect everyone's private space as well. But here's the thing, Shahzad, while of course most of the things were going down the drain during this pandemic as well, I think it was a wake-up call for a lot of people. And I think being here at PTV World and at World This Morning, we take immense pride in talking to people who have done or contributed a lot for the betterment of the country as well. Similarly, we have someone from the youth of Pakistan today here at the studio to talk about what they have been in their individual capacity contributing towards, well, the prosperity of the country.
Yeah, exactly. Where Shiza actually spoke about people hoarding, or people, going and buying stuff and not leaving anything for anybody. There were people who didn't actually go out buying, but what they did was that they made sure that they're going to collect a lot of stuff and distribute it amongst people who were from the downtrodden segment, or probably who cannot afford, people who were elderly. We were actually going to ask her, ladies and gentlemen, and the only reason why we share such stories with you on this platform is so that,
to inspire.
if any one of those people, who are out there who are watching us, what if they take the inspiration from this amazing lady who's over here in the studio and start to do such community work? And I think that this is something which we really need to do, we all need to do, and we all need to join hands as well. So us fulfilling our responsibility, This Morning on PD World, ladies and gentlemen, are very happy that we are actually going to share a story where she's actually got a soft heart for 1 million of other people as well. And what did she do for all of them? Well, I think that's something to be heard from the horse's mouth directly as well. She happens to be a youth leader, ladies and gentlemen. She's none other than Miss Eliza Saddle. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Walaikum assalam, good morning.
It gives us immense pleasure to have you on our show, and it's beautiful to have you. She actually came all the way from Sialkot to make sure that she's going to inspire 1 million other people. So Eliza, first of all, when you got to know that, okay, COVID's not going anywhere, there are people who are troubled, there are people who have a lot of problems, there are people who are losing their jobs. What was the first thought which came to your mind before you actually started doing all of this community work?
The first thought just that motivated me for this work was that we are the youth, we are the young people of this nation, and this is our responsibility to take the lead in such activities, to promote such activities, and to inspire others and to motivate others for this.
Right, and Eliza, this was not the first time actually you were doing something for the community. I mean, of course, the pandemic hit and then you realized that this is something I have to do again. But there were so many projects that you were doing before that, and you were writing about issues that were, I want to say, relevant to the society and then sort of helpful to the society as well. Let us know about your work before COVID as well.
Yes, I've been writing about polio mellitus as well. Because it is one of the most important issues of Pakistan.
Absolutely.
We have not been yet completely been eradicated of it. So that was my main concern, to highlight those issues that were mainly the biggest problems of Pakistan. That's why.
And you continue to write for them as well, which is great. But now coming back to where we initiated the conversation, that we want to inspire other people. So what have you done so far? I know that you're actually in connection with a lot of NGOs as well, but what did you do as an individual within your own capacity, and how many people have you helped so far, and what was the reaction you got from them?
I have, when this pandemic started, I have just took the lead in it, because I thought that it's the time when the people around me need me. That's why I started this community work. I connected with people, I motivated other young people to join me, to join hands with me and start and contribute in it.
Yeah.
Right.
So we have so far we have distributed ration bags
Okay,
in
that's nice.
500 families in Sialkot
Wow, mashallah.
till
So
now.
you basically took the initiative, right?
Yeah.
And then you were sort of gathering the youth of the community of Sialkot, of the entire city as well. And you know what, Aliza, a lot of people actually all around the country, after a few weeks of the pandemic hitting Pakistan, they were contributing to the country in terms of, distributing ration bags and whatnot.
Yeah.
But then there was news of how the ration bags are being misused, or the need is being exploited by mean people, let's say, by people who are inconsiderate of other people as well. So were you making sure that your help was reaching the right people?
Yes,
Or before you answer, can I just take a minute to probably disagree with my co-host over here? And this disagreement is because of the fact that this is something which I've witnessed myself.
Okay.
So for all of those people who were getting ration bags, just because of the fact that every other day there was a Pakistani who wanted to help other Pakistanis, they would distribute ration bags. So people actually had 10 ration bags, 15 ration bags, or 20 ration bags. So what they did was that they actually kind of exchanged the ration bags with probably other household
Right.
stuff, for example, toothpaste,
Shampoo.
toothbrush, and shampoos. But for all of those people who, God forbid, kind of exchanged it for money and then used it for other stuff, I think that was the sad part.
Right.
Not the other part where you actually had ration bags in the first place and then you exchange it with shampoos and soaps and
Yeah.
whatever they wanted to have.
True.
that was my main concern when I
Okay.
started. I addressed my team with that we need to make everyone accountable of it.
Right.
We need to work with honesty. We are working for a good cause,
Absolutely.
and we need to make it happen in a good way.
Yeah.
We don't need to make it happen in a negative way or incorporating something like negativity in it or dishonesty.
Exactly.
That will just ruin our name and people won't trust us anymore. So that was my first and foremost concern,
Very nice.
to make it accountable, to make myself first accountable for it,
Yeah.
and then others.
And it's
That's
wonderful. So
brilliant.
now I want to speak about where you actually had collaborations with other peoples as well, because you had collaborated with NGOs. Because you actually hail from a city which, ladies and gentlemen, is very popular, even in the outer world as well. It's popular because of the fact that we make a lot of sports codes. We have even made FIFA official footballs, not just that, a lot of cricket equipment or medical equipment as well. And people over there are very philanthropic.
Yeah.
You really do not have to ask for anything. And the best part is that they have actually made their own airport from their own money.
Yeah.
So you can pretty much understand how the people of Sialkot are. So when you came up with this initiative, how did they respond? The people of Sialkot who could do well, who were industrialists, what did they say?
When I came up with the idea, I shared it with different people from different communities. I got really positive response. You are right in that. People of Sialkot are really philanthropic.
Yeah.
So they donated as much as they could. And Alhamdulillah, what I've done so far is just because of my donors and just because of those people.
Right. So would you say that it was kind of easy for you to find like-minded people for this specific project? Yeah.
Yeah, it was the main issue that there are conflicts where there are people, there are conflicts, but I don't
Right.
I don't mind any conflict against me, but
Yeah.
like-mindedness is okay. But I like opinion of disagreement as well,
Okay.
because that might provide more productivity.
More insight as well, and that is, I mean, a sign of a true leader as well, Aliza. I have to tell you that. But now coming back to you being a writer, do you want to pursue it as a career in the future, or is this just a side thing that you want to carry on with?
Of course, I want to pursue it as my professional career,
Okay.
because I've been writing articles in blogs, and I'm thinking to write my own book. I'm compiling it.
wow.
So
And what are you going to write the book about?
It's all your published work altogether?
yeah, a kind of, it's a romantic story. So
Wow.
nice.
Yeah.
So it's a book by you and it's a romantic story. I would love to know about it, but obviously we'll do it in near future.
yeah.
Very sorry. But before we move on and ask you some other stuff, what I want to ask you about, you just said that that when there are people, there are conflicts. It's actually sounded like when there is barish, there is pani. Yeah. So what I wanted to ask you about is that, for all of those things which you did, for all of those people who were from the underprivileged families, what were the conflicts about? And what kind of conflicts did you come across and how did you resolve them?
Conflicts were about where to distribute, because some of my volunteers came up with a list of families to donate the ration bags to, but there I conflicted on this because
So difference of opinion, basically.
yeah,
Okay.
basically there was difference of opinion. So where to distribute and when to distribute and among whom to distribute.
That was the main
That
issue.
was the main issue
Alright.
that aroused. So
resolve
collaborating with
it?
different NGOs, and that was also an issue, but Alhamdulillah it's
Alhamdulillah,
worked
you
out.
sorted out. Very nice. Now, I think that this is something which might be very difficult for you to answer, but I want people to know that this is a reality which exists amongst us. Now, majority of the times we have seen people who do a lot of community work and social work and help a lot of people. They, one way or the other, unfortunately, come across people who are not as honest, as loyal,
All right.
and they do not speak the language of truth. So how did you make sure that that you're actually going to look within your own team as well, that whether somebody is making sure that everything's going by the rule, or were there people who actually wanted to kind of take advantage of the situation everybody was in? Yeah, that's an interesting one, I know that.
you know
You don't have to name anyone. You can just tell us the
no,
scenario.
I understand that. Again, that barish aati hai to pani aata hai.
Yeah.
Where there is positivity, there is negativity as
course.
well.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was negativity, but I have seen that. I have scrutinized and I have marginalized such people
Yeah.
because it was for a good cause.
Of course.
So if it's for a good cause, then you've got to do it with honesty.
Absolutely. That's so
So
true.
that was my main concern. So yeah, negativity exists.
Yeah.
Everywhere exists.
But I
Wherever there
think
is
you have-
positivity, there's negativity as well. But ladies and gentlemen, by the end of the day, it's the positivity which is actually going to take you to the front. And people will definitely come alongside you because they have taken that positivity from you and they're going to share the vibe. But thank you
Yes.
very much, Eliza, for being with us. It was wonderful to have you. We want to wish you best of luck.
Thank
and
you.
God forbid, unfortunately, if the second wave is here, please make sure that you continue to serve the community, not just
Inshallah.
in Sialkot, all over Pakistan,
Yeah.
all over the world. And may Allah give you all of that reward which you are actually capable of or probably
Ameen.
deserving. But then thank you very much once again.
All right, so Lisa, very quickly though, before we do head out to a short break for 1 minute, this is a camera. Speak to the public of Pakistan, or actually, a lot of non-Pakistanis are watching too right now.
Yeah.
Talk to them about how to be, cognizant of observing the SOPs and being safe.
Let's do
Here
this.
you go.
You know that it's the second wave of coronavirus, and we are not still got eradicated of it. So we need to maintain the SOPs. Don't shake hands. Just avoid shaking hands and maintain the SOPs. Maintain a social distance that will save you and the people around you.
Wow, wonderful message as well. Thank you very much once again for being with us. And for everybody who's out there, ladies and gentlemen, we're definitely heading out towards a short break. But once you guys will come back, this is one thing which we might have missed out on.
Okay.
And as soon as we got the opportunity, we are going to make sure that we avail the opportunity, because during these pandemic times and testing times, ladies and gentlemen, we kind of one way or the other never spoke about people living with disabilities.
We did definitely. We did, but I think what you mean to say is we did not sort of dedicate an entire segment or a show towards this. So that is what we will be doing today. We're heading out right now to a very short break. You can go grab your coffee as well. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Good morning.
passion for polo will be the highest on the world's highest polo ground. Chandur invites visitors to experience a traditional polo tournament between the teams of Chitral and Gilgit. The tournament is held on Chandur Pass, the highest polo ground in the world, at 3,700 meters above sea level. The first time a polo tournament took place on the Chandur Pass was in 1936. It is a place unique and exotic in itself, surrounded by some of the most spectacular mountain scenery in the world. The event marks the annual rivalry between the teams of Chitral and Gilgit. The polo tournament has some added attractions for the visitors: trout fishing at the nearby streams and lakes, and a festival of folk dances and music of northern Pakistan. The event in itself offers a fascinating insight into the lifestyle of the people of this region. Their culture and indigenous customs are a delight to behold for the visitors. Crystal clear lakes, snow-covered mountains, alpine flowers, and vast stretches of green grass are added attractions. Fairs and festivals of Pakistan.
Welcome back to Well This Morning, ladies and gentlemen, where Shahzad Khan and Shiza Hashmi together today are again pledging to, sort of disseminate the right kind of information to everyone watching. Now, Shahzad, before going out on a short break, you spoke about something that we sort of truly missed on in detail, yes?
Exactly.
We did definitely touch up on it. We had someone on the phone as well to talk about it. But right now, we are here to dedicate this entire segment towards that, which is,
ladies and gentlemen, people living with disabilities. And I think that that's the most important segment of our society. And we really need to speak about it. But then the best part over here is that I think I'm going to take a lot of motivation from this segment. And it's because of the fact that, first of all, we're talking about people living with disabilities. But not just that. What people living with disabilities did for themselves and for other people living with disabilities during these the times of pandemic. And as we all know that, it's a difficult situation. And not just that, I think not a lot of buildings over here in Pakistan are actually accessible to people living with disabilities. That's one thing which is very sad. But still, man, there's this one thing, and that is that, they're so motivated for doing things for other people. And not just that, I think that for whatever they have contributed so far is something which we might not have achieved in another 70 years. So I think it's a public-private partnership itself. So without any further ado, first of all, we're very lucky that we've actually been joined by the ED of STEP. He's none other than Muhammad Atif Sheikh as well. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum, Executive Director Sahab. Kaise hain aap? Theek hai?
Thank you very much once again for inviting me.
Thank you
It's our
very much. It's
pleasure,
wonderful to
always.
have you. Thank you very much for taking our time. Alongside him, ladies and gentlemen, we have somebody who's actually developed an application. What is it about is something which he will be answering. He's the Manager Communications STEP. He's none other than Mr. Imran Khattak. Hello, Assalamu alaikum, Pira Sange.
ठीक ठाक बिल्कुल तवाया
Alhamdulillah. Thank you very much for joining us. Last but not the least, ladies and gentlemen, whenever I look at her, I think that I always drive motivation and I always get inspiration. And the kind of struggle she's been, because she's been a part of our program on and off, and she's always been here to make sure that she tells us about whatever she has achieved so far, not just for herself, but for all of those other people in the similar condition. She happens to be the CEO of NFWWD, and she's none other than Miss Abia Akram. Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning.
Thank you so much for having me again. Thank you, Shehzad. It's so good to see you.
Thank you very
Always
much.
a pleasure
Likewise
to
it
have
is.
you.
So let's get the conversation started.
Okay, so I think I'm going to begin with Abia over here, and you're speaking on behalf of the entire community of persons living with disabilities. Now, it's only natural to sort of, not intentionally, but sort of neglect something that you personally are not going through, right? So I think you're the right person to let us know how the pandemic has impacted daily life or routines of persons living with disabilities.
Thank you so much, because during this situation, it was so complicated when we talk about the rights of persons with disability, especially
Right.
women and girls with disability, because we have seen like they are always confined in the homes.
Right.
But during this situation, the other so-called non-disabled people, they were also at home. So it was more complicated for them to access to information or getting basic rights.
Okay.
The health, education, they were not going through the testing of the COVID, because people thought like, oh, what they need to do, because they always linked the disability with the health conditions.
Yes.
So it was more complicated for them. And when we talk about women and girls with disability, they were doubly like discriminated and facing gender-based violence at home, harassment at home. And in that situation, like person like me who are blessed with the presence of all the amazing community, my parents, siblings, but still I had to fight for all the basic things, because I was not getting full-time personal assistant services because of the lockdown. I was not able to get the assistant at home because of my parents and everyone, because
Exactly.
we have to care about that. So in this situation, we were finding it really complicated because of the policies and the legislation. They were not very inclusive. The responses were not addressing the
Okay.
needs of all kind of disabilities. So
Exactly.
in that situation, we find quite a lot. It was not only in Pakistan, but all over the world. It's the
Right.
same situation, as we all know. But obviously, we have to talk more about it and bringing the concern on the table. And I'm really grateful, like you have addressed, like bring
Exactly.
this concern in the program, and we can give the awareness to many people about that.
And it's wonderful to have you as well. And ladies and gentlemen, that's very correct. Imagine for somebody who actually cannot do majority of the house chores by themselves, so obviously they need help. So even in these times of COVID, obviously we cannot have external help or domestic help at home as well. And it's because of the fact that, people are at risk of getting or probably getting COVID. But now I think what we really need to ask over here is from Mr. Atif. First of all, you're getting hotter day by day. You look very amazing. You're in great shape. What do you have to say? What kind of contributions were made by you during the pandemic?
Sure. Actually, I will continue what Avia
Sure.
said. Like people with disabilities in developing world, like in Pakistan, have very limited access to education, health, infrastructure, all the facilities of life. So they are already confined in their houses. So at this stage, the biggest issue which we realized where we can work together was the providing information, so that we can help people with disabilities to access to the information where they can get the benefit where they can get, access the social protection, or even the very basic thing like how I can get a wheelchair. Free, or if I can buy. So this kind of information we are working for, and my colleague Imran will speak more about the structure of this app. But during the pandemic, what we have learned, like disasters always create opportunities.
Yes.
Of course.
Overall, throughout the world, people have more access to technology now. So we focused on technology and we are trying to best utilize it so that people with disabilities can be mobilized as a human capital, as students, or whatever they want to do, living in their own houses, or without, or having a limited accessibility or mobility around them.
Or have access to all kinds of information and technology for that purpose as well.
Yes. Also, like through technology, they can be useful member of the society. They can earn. They can start their own businesses. So this app, which we are about to launch, will be kind of a bridging the gap of communication. People with disabilities sitting at their homes, they can access to education, health, employment, livelihood. So this is how we are trying to address that issue. People with disabilities.
So let's
And
get
you know
our
also-
heads clear. I'm very sorry, Shiza, but I just want to get my head clear and for all those viewers who are out there as well. What was that one thing which was missing and you thought that this application is actually going to fulfill that?
Very, very simple.
Yeah.
Information.
Okay.
Access to information. If I don't have access to information, I can't do anything at all.
Of course.
Let me give you a very clear example. If a baby is born with disability in the house, parents need to know what to do now.
Exactly.
Where to go before the rehabilitation, for treatment. Then they have to think about school. When the baby somehow gets education, becomes a like effective member of the society, then they are looking for the job.
Yeah.
So all spheres of life should be addressed, and through information.
Wow.
Right, absolutely. I do agree with you. Information is, I want to say, in today's world as well, it's sort of a primary right to every human being now. Imran Khattak, you were one of the people who pioneered in making this app as well. Now, is this idea, did it struck you like in the time of the, in the time of the pandemic only, or did you conceive it even before the pandemic? And let us know in detail all the objectives that your app plans to serve.
10 to 15% of the total population of Pakistan are persons with disabilities, which is a huge population and is almost 28 million in Pakistan. This whole population don't get the right information on the right time due to the communication barrier, like my colleague Atif has just mentioned.
Okay.
So by creating this app, we are enabling that huge chunk of population to know about how to get assistive devices. For instance, if I am a person with disability and I want to get a wheelchair, so I want to know how to get in touch with Pakistan Baitul Mal in order to get a wheelchair by government support.
Okay.
Or maybe
Brilliant.
if I can buy a wheelchair, the app can take me to a private clinic or a private shop where I can buy the wheelchair. Same way, the application provides information on COVID-19, the preventive measures, the assessment test. Previously, the assessment test, the preventive measures have always been there, but they were not accessible. Now we have made them more accessible by incorporating sign language interpretation. Like for instance, if you are using the app, you have the sign language video, you can play it and you can view it. You have the sound description if you are a visually impaired person and you want to hear, so you can play that button and you can actually hear what's actually written in the app.
Wow.
So those kind of features are actually a game changer, and this application that we have developed in collaboration with British Council, it's a game changer. It's going to provide all that information that every person with disability in Pakistan needs. It's available in both English and Urdu languages, first of all. Then we have the sign language interpretation, and like I said, sound description, and all the relevant information from assistive devices to COVID-19 to disability stakeholders, anything related to persons with disabilities. And the content making was the most difficult part of the app that we worked on. We spent a lot of time on making the content.
Like, how were you involving the stakeholders? Because of course you have to be in conversation with people directly to know their issues, right?
So STEP actually is in contact with all the disability stakeholders all over Pakistan.
Oh, brilliant.
Whether it's in Sindh, whether it's in Balochistan, GB, AJK, we are available allwhere. So we have mentioned their information. So if there is a person with disability in Quetta, he can get in touch with the disability stakeholder in Quetta. Same way in Azad Jammu and Kashmir, if somebody is in Rawalakot or Bagh, he can get in touch with the DPO, Disabled People Organization in Rawalakot. So that's how we are trying to make Pakistan more inclusive and more more user friendly.
So that everyone has access to whatever they require, I think, in particular, and I think that's a wonderful
And
initiative.
actually, it's a twin track approach, kind of like people with disabilities on the one hand and service providers on the other hand. So it's a connect between these two, demand side and the supply side.
Wonderful.
I think that's
Abia
really-
wanted to add.
The equal access, like we were just thinking for the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability, it's a very important article on access to information. Then we have the Sustainable Development Goals. So how we are linking it in Pakistan, I think we are quite ahead because we have so many good examples, the government supporting and all, but still this kind of initiatives help persons at the grassroots level to get the access. We have done one survey in which we find out many of the people with disabilities having access to the smartphones. So it's very easy to get that information through the smartphones. We worked in this app for the British Council, but at the same time with the UNFPA, we are also trying to get some of the work done for women and girls with disability to provide them the psychosocial support, because this is in this trauma situation, how they can get out of it, how we can find a space, safe space where they can discuss their concerns. So we are like training them. We have done one project on almost 100 women with disabilities. We are training them online on the electoral processes, how to get engaged in the using this technology and the assistive devices, how they can be in the mainstream society and can get more opportunities to work in the mainstream development
without feeling
sector.
marginalized, right?
And one very important thing which I need to add here, that STEP has a motto, kind of theme, that nothing about us without us.
Without us.
So it's an organization
definitely.
run by persons with disabilities, and we try to advocate all the time that people with disabilities know better what they need. So they can decide, they can contribute, and they can be part of the decision making process. So this app is developed in consent, in consultation with, or in keeping with the needs of persons with disabilities by themselves.
Right. I think this is brilliant, you know, especially when you talk about all the features that you just mentioned, Mr. Imran. I think inclusivity is what we're talking about and what we're looking at over here, especially in a country where millions of people are definitely PWDs. You want to talk about their rights to, well, infrastructure, of course, their right to education, the basic right to health facilities, whatnot, but they don't even have inclusivity in recreation.
Yep.
I mean, when have you ever gone to a park, Shazad, and seen a ramp? A ramp is one of the basic things that comes to your mind when you talk about PWDs in their
There are
rights
no
as well.
swings in the parks these days. I mean, for whatever they've put in place, I think people have taken them off as well, or probably
Right.
are under lock.
Right.
This came to me as a shock as well. You know, I went to a park with my daughter, and she was like, okay, you know, Abba, I want to sit on the swing. And I went to the swing and I saw that, you know, there was a chain padlock
Yes.
on the swing, and I was like, you know, why is the swing
Why is
here
it
if it
in-
needs to be locked?
So that's why, like during the COVID-19 or after this pandemic, like all the people are facing some kind of disabilities.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
So my question was, sorry, I wanted to direct my question to Mr. Imran over here. Now we know that you already mentioned, Abia, the government and you know the establishments are definitely working in favor of all the work that you are doing. Supreme Court wants us to use the politically correct term, and then Supreme Court wants all the buildings to at least be inclusive in terms of architecture. How do you think we should be moving forward towards that?
I think in Pakistan, creating accessibility is the dire need right now,
Yes.
whether it's IT or infrastructural,
Yes.
because persons with disabilities face these barriers in their daily lives, and that is why that this whole population of 28 million are confined within their homes. They are invisible, they cannot get the employment opportunities, they cannot go to universities because they are not accessible. So currently we have incorporated the bills in all the major provinces, including Sindh and Balochistan.
Right.
But the bill has been passed in the Federal Assembly, but it's still not enacted. So we need to incorporate these legislation, these laws. We need to identify the UNCRPD, and we need to implement that as soon as possible, because this population of persons with disabilities is one of the most marginalized communities, and they are the ones to be first catered to. For example, Shahzad knows if we go to KPK and if you go to Waziristan or South KPK, the situation is very bad.
Dire.
I am myself from Karak, and when I see persons with disabilities, and due to lack of accessibility only, they spend their whole lives in their homes. They cannot go out.
Exactly,
So-
that's true. And then, you know, I've even seen, but, you know, since you mentioned that, at the same time, ladies and gentlemen, there's one thing which I've witnessed, that, you know, even when you go to KPK, I've seen, you know, the young children carrying their fathers and mothers onto their shoulders with love. And And that's one thing. But you know, how far can you go like that? There needs to be particular steps which needs to be taken.
Yes.
God forbid, I'm sorry, but I have to give you this example. You know, when we talk about latest projects, for example, BRT or Metro, I think it is inclusive. Everybody can pretty much go in and come out as well. But imagine, you know, even in UK, back in the 50s and 60s, they had buses which are going to drop down for
Right,
people
right.
who were actually on wheelchairs. So I think that we are a little late, but we are moving in the right direction. But very quickly, there's one thing which we have missed out on. What is the name of the application and what are you releasing it?
So-
When are you releasing it? Yes.
I want to tell you that the name of the application is Equal Access, and I want to announce that from next week we are going to launch it on Apple Store and Google Play.
Yeah.
So
Brilliant.
all persons with disabilities should download it and use it as soon as possible.
Exactly.
So let me repeat the name, Equal Access.
Access.
Equal Access. You can download it and start like access.
Done deal. Abia.
Yeah, it's equal access.
Yes.
I just want to say like about the notification of the like court have just Supreme Court mentioned, and this is a good achievement because we have been talking about from decades.
Yep.
Use the right terminology. I remember like in our previous programs also we talked about it. So this is very good. Like now we have officially used the language which is very right. Person first and then the disabilities.
Exactly.
So persons with disabilities. I'm very proud of my disability and I feel like women with disability is a perfect terminology. But mostly people said differently able or special people or also we have to, you know, be concerned about it, like how we are using the right language for person with disability, which is more dignified and respectful, and we can use that. So it's
Exactly.
persons with disabilities, which is.
Thank you very much, and I think that we did the correct thing as well, ladies and gentlemen. It's our responsibility, it's your responsibility to spread the word and share it with everybody else as well. Since we're doing it in English and you know it's an English platform over here, I'm going to say it in Urdu as well. Because बहुत सारे लोग हैं ख़वातीन हज़रात जो कि रह रहे हैं अपनी डिसेबिलिटी के साथ, बट देन हमें भी चाहिए कि हम उनको ये मौका फराहम करें कि उनके पास भी इक्वल एक्सेस हो. और जब हम इक्वल एक्सेस की बात करते हैं तो ये इक्वल एक्सेस एक एप्लीकेशन का नाम है जो कि गूगल स्टोर पे और ऐप स्टोर पे एप्पल के अवेलेबल है. आप जाइए, उसको डाउनलोड कीजिए और आपको कोई भी चीज़ चाहिए, आपको किसी भी किस्म की हेल्प चाहिए, वो आपको कनेक्ट करेगी उस इंसान के साथ जो कि आप तक उस चीज़ की रसाई को मुमकिन बनाएगा.
Wow, brilliant. All right, thank you so much for being
बहुत
here.
खूबसूरत.
Jazakallah.
You guys, thank you so much for being here, especially early in the morning, talking about something that is so close to our hearts, yours as well, and needed to be sort of, you know, told to people, whoever is watching right now. So towards the end, very quickly, on behalf of the entire team, any one of you wants to give out a message?
Just one thing, like though we have seen that, or we have seen in the social media mostly that this year was the worst year because of coronavirus, but three things which we can celebrate very clearly in Pakistan. First of all, National Assembly has approved ICT rights bill for persons with disabilities, which is going to be the first ever law in Pakistan for rights of disabled people. Secondly, we are the Supreme Court has finally ordered all the buildings at first phase, the public buildings, to be fully accessible for persons with disabilities, which is a big thing going to happen. And third, we are agreed as a nation on the terminology that we have to use person first approach. Persons with disabilities, or in Urdu, Afraad Baham Mazuri. Thank you very much.
Zabardast. Thank you very much for being with us. It was lovely to be in conversation. And ladies and gentlemen, just look at these faces, because these people are the future, and probably the current scenario is under control is because of the fact that they have partnered with government. And ladies and gentlemen, these public-private partnerships, believe me, can do wonders. Please make sure that all of us may give them that right opportunity, give them that enabling environment. And all they want is equal access.
Absolutely. So everyone watching right now, in your own individual capacity, please contribute maximum so that we really don't have to go through the second wave of the coronavirus again. If there's anything you learned from us, any feedback you have, please write to us on a Facebook page with the name of
World This Morning.
On Twitter.
World This Morning without a G.
On YouTube.
On YouTube, it's World This Morning, ladies and gentlemen, but you'll actually have to look for PTV World first of all.
Right. And the repeat of this show you can catch at
5 past midnight. Till the next time, look after yourselves, and everybody is born equal, ladies and gentlemen. Please make sure that you spread this message. 1, 2, 3. Good morning.
Take care.